Imagine meeting someone who entirely captivates you, only to realize their life's mission requires doing the exact opposite of your own. How do you reconcile a relationship when your very purpose on Earth contradicts theirs? This is the reality for Captain Yoo Si Jin. As a highly trained Special Forces soldier, his professional code is defined by the strict protection of national security. To secure that safety, he is authorized, trained, and willing to use lethal force. He operates in a world where taking a human life is sometimes the required outcome of a successful mission. Dr. Kang Mo Yeon operates under an entirely different mandate. As a trauma surgeon, she is bound by the Hippocratic Oath. Her absolute priority is the preservation of human life. In her operating room, there are no enemies or allies, no borders or politics. There is only a dying patient and the absolute moral imperative to save them. When these two cross paths in the safe, civilian environment of a hospital in Seoul, the attraction is electric. The brightly lit hallways and coffee shop dates offer a comfortable backdrop for two highly competent professionals to recognize a shared intelligence and charm in one another. Look at this animated diagram tracking their moral trajectories. They start at a point of mutual attraction, but as time moves forward, the vectors sharply split. One path insists on national security through lethal force, while the other demands medical ethics and preservation. The gap between them widens infinitely. They quickly realize their romance cannot survive this divergence. They break up almost immediately. This is a dialectical clash in its purest form. Love is insufficient here because the barrier between them is an intellectual puzzle that appears mathematically impossible to bridge. You are left watching two characters who desperately want to be together, staring across a void. The central tension of the story asks a question. How can two people bridge the ultimate gap between the taking of life and the saving of life? To test their opposing philosophies, the narrative removes them from the sterile, comfortable hospitals of Seoul and places them into the highly dangerous militarized zone of the fictional country, Uruk. A coincidental military deployment and a medical volunteering initiative force their paths to cross once again. Out in the desert, the safety nets of their civilian lives vanish entirely. The theoretical arguments they had in coffee shops are replaced by immediate life-or-death realities. This tension peaks during an intense standoff. When a foreign VIP patient arrives in critical condition, Mo Yeon knows she must operate immediately to save him. The VIP's heavily armed bodyguards draw their weapons to stop the surgery. Without hesitation, Si Jin draws his own weapon, stepping between the bodyguards and Mo Yeon's surgical team. The real-world stakes are immense. Si Jin disobeys direct orders. He risks diplomatic fallout and his own military career, entirely to buy Mo Yeon the time she needs to cut into the patient. Looking at this top-down tactical schematic, we see exactly how a synthesis of their professions occurs. The central medical zone, marked by the cross, is entirely defenseless on its own. Si Jin utilizes the explicit threat of death to create a secure perimeter for Mo Yeon to operate. As the defensive ring forms, the dynamic shifts. The soldier's lethal capacity no longer opposes the doctor's mandate. It acts as a physical shield, blocking incoming threats. This standoff proves their opposing codes can achieve harmony. The sword, when directed carefully, can be harnessed exclusively to enable the scalpel. A massive earthquake strikes Uruk. The disaster destroys buildings, supply lines, and all remaining political, social, and ideological boundaries between the characters. In the immediate aftermath, they work in parallel. Si Jin navigates highly unstable, collapsing rubble to physically extract trapped survivors, utilizing his physical endurance and tactical training to pull people from the wreckage. Meanwhile, Mo Yeon faces the grim reality of field triage. She must make brutal, split-second medical decisions, assessing who has a chance of survival and who must be left to die so that limited resources can be used effectively. The chaos escalates sharply when hostile armed forces target the weakened encampment. Mo Yeon is taken hostage by a local warlord, creating a scenario where negotiation is impossible and medical ethics offer no defense. Si Jin strips off his official insignia and mounts a rogue rescue operation. He operates strictly as a lethal weapon, systematically eliminating the armed guards surrounding her with cold, terrifying efficiency. As Mo Yeon witnesses his lethal capability firsthand, she finally comprehends his reality. She sees the agonizing psychological burden he carries. He executes the violent actions she abhors, specifically so she and innocent people like her can survive. The crucible of Uruk strips away their philosophical debates. When faced with absolute destruction, the soldier and the doctor realize they are fighting the exact same enemy: death and despair. In the aftermath of their time in Uruk, their relationship enters a new state. Crucially, neither character compromises their core professional beliefs to make the romance work. Mo Yeon does not abandon her oath, and Si Jin does not resign his commission. This animated scale illustrates the paradox of protection. You have the scalpel on one side and the rifle on the other. Mo Yeon never endorses killing, and Si Jin never lays down his weapon for a peaceful civilian life. Instead, the scale settles into a perfect, tense equilibrium. The true resolution of the series is a mature synthesis. They build a relationship based entirely on mutual respect for the vastly different ways they have chosen to protect humanity. This specific narrative mechanic explains why the series achieved massive cultural success. It subverts standard romance tropes. You are not watching a wealthy heir date a poor employee, and the conflict is not driven by simple miscommunications. Two hyper-competent professionals are navigating a genuine ethical divide. The ultimate act of love in this story is acceptance. They mutually accept the heavy, opposing burdens that the other voluntarily chooses to bear for the sake of the world. If you enjoyed this breakdown of how storytelling explores the intricate mechanics of love, duty, and human conflict, consider subscribing to the channel. We explore the deeper architecture of great stories every week.